Hi there, and welcome back to Artisan Upholstery Studio. It's me, Amy, and today I'm making Roman shades for my dining room with fabric generously supplied by Covey Fabrics, and I thought you might want to join along.
So you're going to need a bunch of supplies for this project. I have these old blinds that I got from my aunt, and so I'm going to take these apart. Everything is still good, and I'm going to reuse a lot of this. So I just have to take everything apart, and the only thing I'm getting rid of is the actual fabric blind. I'm pretty much keeping everything else. So these wood slats are important to keep the blinds straight across the bottom, and these D-rings are what lift the blind up and down. Now this is the header rail, and these are all the pieces for my 4 blinds. So this is the fabric I'm using, Covey Fabrics number KA714. It's a beautiful print, and I just loved it when I saw it, and I needed to use it on these blinds. So the length will be determined by the length of your window, obviously, but you're going to want to add about 5 inches just to give yourself some wiggle room. And you want to center it on the piece of fabric unless your blinds are really narrow. I'm having to cut up the whole center, so there's quite a bit of wastage on this pattern, but that's what you need to do when you're lining them up in a group because they all have to look the same. Now the width of the blinds are determined by the width of your window, but this time you want to add 5 inches to the width of your window. Now, when you're doing the second blind and then the third and the fourth, in my case, you want to make sure that the bottoms all line up and are perfectly identical because you're going from the bottom up to the top. So at the top is where you want that extra fabric. At the bottom, you want it to all be the same. So you're folding it over 2.5 inches and ironing it down. And the reason it's 2.5 inches is because we added that 5 inches to the total measurement. So flip it over and do the other side. So you're going to measure to make sure that the measurement is correct. And then you're going to measure in between those folds and add 2 inches to get your liner measurement. So for example, if it was 24 inches, you're going to be cutting your liner fabric 26 inches. So staple these together, making sure that the sides are perfectly even and straight. And then you're going to sew it on both sides, both of the long side, 1/2 inch seam, close that up. And then at the bottom, you're going to fold the folds to where they're meant to be. And then you're going to close up the bottom as well. So these are the slats that I removed from those old blinds, and now I have to cut them to fit these new blinds. So you want to lay this perfectly straight and smooth. Take extra care, make sure that it's perfect. It really does matter because you don't want your blinds to hang crooked. So I cut these a little bit shorter than the actual fabric panel. And I have 6 of these, and they're going to be spread evenly. So what I did to get that measurement was I took the length of the finished blind, so basically the length of the window, and divided it by the number of spaces that there were going to be in between this slat, so 7. And my measurement was 11 and a half. So that is how I'm going to space these slats. And I'm just going to hot glue them on. I think that there's all kinds of other adhesives that you can use, but I think hot glue is probably the easiest and the cheapest, and you probably have some in your craft drawer already. If you don't, I've linked to all these tools in the description. So it's a bit of a process to get these all marked out and glued on, but you really want to take your time and do it right because it will affect the final look of your blinds. If you haven't already taken the time to go check out our new website, Upholstery Life, go and check it out. There's some new videos there that you haven't seen before. They are under the heading Sponsored YouTube Videos, and there's lots of great information for people who are learning upholstery. So just carefully pulled the inside fabric right side out, and it's a little bit awkward with those wood slats, but entirely possible. I was a little skeptical at first, honestly, but it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. So now I've got that all folded right side out. I'm going to make the corners perfect at the bottom here. And then I'm going to add that final strip to the bottom edge. I'm just going to finish it off by sewing it in place. Make sure that it stays nice and neat. So the next step is to measure the length from the bottom up to the height of your window. Mine is 80.5 inches. So I have marked and I'm stapling it so that it is exactly 80.5 inches to the top of this header rail. And I'm just stapling it down, and then I'm going to fold it over and make it a neat and tidy fold at the top. Even though you won't see this, it's just nice to have it look nice and finished. Now I've decided to use eye hooks instead of those little mechanisms that came with the blinds, but I'm using this one as like a pulley for the side because you actually need two to loop through and one that brings the cord over to the very side of the window. Otherwise it'll pull from a funny place and it will make your blinds look stupid. So you need 3 hooks up there. And you want to sort of line them up evenly with both sides so that the strings come up where you want them to be. So here I'm attaching that little pulley system for the cord. So the D rings get attached to the second from the bottom, or not like the, not the bottom, but the second one up on both sides. And you just got to try to make sure that they're exactly the same on all of your panels, just so that, they don't hang differently on each window. So then you're going to skip one of those slats and go to the next slat. And you're lining them up with those eye hooks at the top there so that it's a nice even line for your cord to go through. So again, you're going to skip one, go to the next one. And now it's time to put your cord on. So there are 2 cords here. One is long and one is shorter. The longer cord will go to the opposite side that the cords will hang down for pulling. And you just loop them through all of those hooks and then tie it off to the last D ring that you put at the bottom there. And then the shorter one goes through the side that the cords will hang down. And there we go. There's the cords hanging down for us to pull. Now we just have to attach 2 screws so that we can attach this to our window. Go, nice and awkward. And then once you pull them up and down a few times, they will get easier to know where they're supposed to go. And then I've attached these little side things so that I can easily lift them up and down.